Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time I will take an old Konica Hexanon AR 50mm 1.7, and it has some oil in the aperture system on and maybe also on the blades. So let's have a look inside. It's a nice lens. I think it looks it could be interesting to take some photos with by using an adapter or so. Now, the problem is if I set it to, let's say, 16, aperture 16, it goes okay. It closes as it should, but it is a little slow, as you can see. This is not this snappy. So I mean, the fork in here will move quickly, but the internal part of the aperture system will not be so quickly. So we need to take it apart and get into the aperture system and clean it with some isopropyl alcohol that I like to use. Well, we need some tools, at least isopropyl alcohol, 99%. You could also use 70 or 81 or something like that. The famous rubber tools, which is absolutely amazing to use with the old lenses. I mean, there are different rubber tools. You could also use a new rubber stopper, which is also a good thing if you want to take off the name ring here, which is actually made of plastic. So some set of tweezer can be very handy. A pointy one, a curved a little, and I made myself a special one, which is specially grinded for putting in aperture plates. It's very flat, and yeah, it can go under the blades, but still hold on to the pin and set it into the hole where it should stay. Now, some dentist tool can be very handy. A pointy one, those are old, used, and a flat, it's a spade in one end, which is very useful when working with aperture plates. Flathead screwdriver, 2.5 millimeter, nothing really special, and 1.2 millimeter flathead screwdriver. This is a brand called Vera, which I like, and a JIS 2.5 millimeter from Moody Tools. I buy it at ifixit.com in this case. And no, I am not sponsored by any company. I pay for myself and buy my own stuff for my own money. We also need a lens blower, which is quite handy. This is it's called the Orbit HEPA blower, which is extremely good because it has a HEPA filter in the inlet where the air comes in. So there will be fresh air only, without any dust on out of the nozzle. Now, some lens sucker can also be very handy. This is from Japan Hobby Tool, and the other one is a set of it's an old set. I don't know if you can get it today, but search on the internet. So a lens cloth is also very handy when working with plates. Now let's jump into it. It's not that hard if you have the right tool. Oh, just to see, I can just use a rubber stopper to actually unscrew the name plate. So you can see it is also possible by a simple rubber stopper. I have made a curve here. Actually, it's a convex form on both ends, because it can also be used to unscrew the retaining ring on front lenses. Now, off with the plastic. It's actually plastic. And there is also a rubber or foam kind of ring in here. Take care of not to damage it. So it's something like that. And to get the front ring here, the filter ring, I think it's called, we need to unscrew, loosen. So only loosen this small set screw with my 1.2 millimeter flathead screwdriver. So it's only a few turns, that's enough. And then have a good grip. It can sit tight. So this is how it looks. And then the front lens group I will take off. And if you are lucky, you can take the whole lens group out by turning the front here by a rubber stopper, or cones, or the rubber stopper. We can actually try it. This is a little old, so it's get more, not so sticky as it was in the new, but it can be renewed by using some acetone on it. It works. Now let's see if it's possible with this tool. Have a good pressure on it. Yeah, and it's possible. Not so sticky, but it came loose. No, it was actually the front retaining ring that come loose. So well, we can just unscrew it, because then I need to use a rubber tool. Maybe it has to be the cones, because they are more sticky. Or we can just try with this one and see if it's possible. You could also use a lens tool with the two notch here and unscrew it. But I like the rubber tool. Yeah, it came loose. So take care of not flip it over, because then the front lens will fall out. So we can just unscrew it, and then see, it's so. And I will just put in the retaining ring here that hold the front lens in place. But I think it's not only the front lens. I think it's also, maybe there are 2 or 3 lenses. I don't know. It's not the case here, because the lens element looks really good. So now it's tight again, no problem. Now then we take off the back. It will say the mount, and we will also take off the aperture ring and get deeper into the aperture system. So we need a 2.5 millimeter crosshead, JIS. That's important. There is no need for taking off the inner cover here, so we only take this off. The whole mount. So it sits with 4 screws, countersunk, and then so there. And remember, have a good grip on the aperture ring, because there sits a small steel ball in here. For the click for the aperture. So just so remember, it will not just fall out. Off with the last screw. And sometimes it will just come off because the screwdriver is magnetic, but yeah. So it there. Have the aperture to set to AE because it will make it easier to just take out the mount, because this pin is all the way over here and the aperture is closed. So this fork here, you can see it's engaged with the pin here, so it can move, as you can see here. Now, for that. And now, actually across, I mean the opposite side of the lock, spring that lock the aperture ring into AE will, you can see when you press on it, it will unlock the aperture ring, and but it has to stay on AE in line with the index mark here, and just keep some fingers over here, because when you lift the aperture ring off just a little and take care of the spring, it will come loose. Now, if the spring, I mean the spring can just pop out, you can take a little tweezer to just loosen and take it out, flip it over, and then we see a tiny steel ball here. Underneath there is a spring, so remember how it should sit. Give the it's a good thing, give the steel ball and the spring a little grease. It could be something like Liqui-Moly LM47, which I think it's with the MOS2. I think it's a really good grease for lubricate that kind of thing. Of course, you do not need to lube the aperture system, because it has to run dry, absolutely dry. Remember that. Now, we will also need to take out the front, I mean not the front, but the back lens group, because as you probably can see here, the moving parts here, it will say this plate, I don't know what the name is, but you can see it's a bit slow in the movement, because there is also oil in here. I have been into the lens before just to take a sneak peek, and of course I saw some oil in here around the back lens barrel, and there is also deeper in here. It will say the other side of the where the blades are attached to, and that's why we need to actually take out the back lens group. And for that we will use a rubber tool again, and I will use the 4 of the cones. It will say 1, 2, 3, 4, because it gives a good grip on the back retaining ring here. Now, unscrew it counterclockwise, have a good grip on it, and have a good grip not on the focusing ring but here, so we can unscrew it. It can sit tight, so then unscrew it, and there are 2 lens elements and a spacer. The back lens, which I like to take out with my small lens sucker, just do so, and we can just pop it into the retaining ring. so it can stay there. And the next one, I will simply just pop it into, there is a spacer in here. You probably can see here, something like that. And I can also just take that out. Can be a little tricky. This is really tight. And remember, when you have taken it out, set a small mark so you know where it sits correct. This is front, towards the front. And we can of course just make it more, what do you say, better, so you can see the arrow here. So on the back here there is a I think it's called a recess or so, and on the front it will say towards the lens. I mean towards the front. It's completely flat. There's not even curved, or I mean convex or concave, not at all. So I will use this spacer to not put in again, but just have it here. So it's just in close to the edge here. And then I can flip over the lens and hopefully let it come out, and it will land on the, so you can see how it looks. So there. And I will just put it in a safe place together with the other lens. So it's there. Now, so we are closer into it, and we can actually take things apart. So you can just set it to infinity, and then you have better view of what's going on. So the lock ring here around we need to take out. One can just lift it up a little. I mean, a dentist tool is actually a lot better to do that, because then you can, in an easy way, not bend it too much. I mean, you have to lift it gently out so it's come over the edge, and then you can take it out. So, and then the cam ring, I think it's called, maybe it is, I don't know. You have to lift it out, straight out. So, and there could be some oil on the back here, or on the edge in here. Keep it close to the lock ring, because there could be difference, and there I think there is. If I look closer, there are difference in the two brass lock ring. This one here and the other in here, which is a little bigger. Just so you know it. The little roller here, I think it's called, tiny, so don't let it slip away. Now here we can see the problem is, you can see some oil in here, maybe. There shouldn't be any at all. You can see it's a very, very slow, not that fast as it should be, because of the oil here, and oil closer on the, around the edge here of this ring. So we need to get the spring here off by take it off on both ends, and keep a finger here just so you're prevented from just fooling around. And the other end also have to come away from this screw, and then we can lift it out by using of 2 tweezers. Sometimes it's more easy. Yeah, so we can see that, and it's of course easier than and more controlled of way of taking it out. Now this screw, the brass screw here, needs to be taken out, and remember how the position of this plate and the ring, so we can just unscrew it. It's a special screw with the shoulders, and if we look closer to it, you can see how it looks. And there is also a kind of a notch around it where the spring sits in. Now then we can take that part out. So, and you can probably see there is a lot of shiny oil on this part where there should not be any. And then it's time to take the isopropyl alcohol in and simply just put this in here so it can stay there. And now it's actually time to take out the plates, which is on the front here. Before you take out the ring, we need to set a kind of a mark, and as I have been into the lens before you unscrew the 3 screws here, do set a small mark here on the plate. You will not see it when the lens block is in, and the plate, and on the inner of the barrel here. So, because it's important it sits correct. Now, then we can go to unscrew the 3 screws and take out the plates. The screws are also special with the shoulder, you probably can see here. So don't loosen them. So there. So you can see different lenses, different brands. I mean, some lenses are really different. As you might think, okay, lens is just a lens. No, they are not. Now, next thing is to take out the plate here, and by using a wheel, we could maybe use the lens sucker here. It's too big. So I will just lift out this plate. I don't know the name of it, but here you can see there is some oil on it, and it will also sit on the plate, and it will go onto the other plates and in that way make them slower and slower the more there comes in oil. So that's it. Now we can take out the plates. They are sometimes a lens sucker is good for that, and we remember the orientation, how it should sit. So if we have a tweezer here, so we could probably open it and lift out a plate. Yeah, where was it? I have another tool which is good for that. This is a tweezer for stamp collectors or people who work with that kind of stuff, and it's a good thing because the ends are really flat, and I have just bent it to get it even more easier to get into plates and then that way take them out or put them back in again. And it's good in some cases. So you can see here, just take them out, and hopefully it's easier. And then I can just follow the other plates around and take them out in a controlled way. So sometimes they can be a little tricky in the holes here, so be gently. Okay, let's see, are the plates made of plastic or are they made of steel? Yeah, as you can see, it's made of steel, which is good to know, actually. Just get rid of it. Okay, so we know that. That's good to know. It's not a problem if you get them, if you get the blades magnetized. It will not do anything in this case. Maybe in other lenses. So there, gently use the tweezer here. I can really recommend buying one of those and do the trick by bending the ends. It's really a good thing to do. So, and then it's in. All blades are fine. And now we can continue by turning it over and get the last ring out. Before doing so, this pin here has to sit where I took the screw out here, just so you remember. Or you could just make a scratch. I can see somebody else has been in here. Maybe somebody has set a mark. Maybe in the factory. You probably can see there is something here. Now, take out the lock ring by again using a kind of a dentist tool, by holding it in one end here, and in that way, okay, let's see if it's possible, by holding here, and you could, maybe it's easier by using the other end, don't know. Sometimes one end is better to start with. Yeah, it comes three. And then we can actually, in an easy way, take it out. So there it is. And again, we can see there are actually, no, need to do it again. It will just make it easier to do that way, and then it's free. And here you probably can see there's also a lot of oil here, and it will also make the things stickier. So in the bath with that. And now we look into this ring that moved the plates actually, and then we should be able to take it out. It doesn't seem there is oil in here, but if we look closer to the ring, you can see there's a lot of oil, and it looks like it works a kind of a brake, so it will make the things work slowly, and then you have an overexposed picture. Not good. So into the bars with that. Maybe we just need a little more of isopropyl alcohol. You can probably get it at the Aperture or the makeup shop or something. I don't know. I get it in a shop called Matas in Denmark, which is it's a big bottle that costs not really much. Now we need some cotton buds, which is very handy in that way, and it's good for actually cleaning the edge here, and also this shiny oily stuff. And then we can just go around and in that way make things more clear. I mean, it could be a good thing if it was too oily. I would take out the inner helicoid system, because it would be a lot more easy. But then I have to re-grease the helicoid in here. So this is it could be another way of doing it, but so there, and it looks like it's much better. See, there's a lot of dirt and grease, so we can just do it again. It's not so much in here. It was more the ring. I mean the rings that was really oily. And we can just give it another go here and do the upper part of it. That way. So there. I think it will be good. And then also the little area here where it doesn't really look that so good, just wipe it away. So, and just a last go, and so we get rid of that. So it, yeah, and here we are. But where does the oil actually come from? Well, the only place it can come from is the focusing system. That's why it is so when a lens gets warm during many years, the oil, I mean the oily part of the grease, will evaporate into the blades. It's the only place it can go to. Then you have a messy aperture, which is not so good. So now it looks fine, as it should. And then we can continue. If you look here on the front, it doesn't seem that there is any oil, but we can just give it a simple go here. But there shouldn't be any. So there. That's it. And then we can just put things back in again, wipe them off and put them into the lens body. And I will just begin with the, yeah, what does that ring call in English? I don't know. Maybe I should use another. Hey, things fall down here. Maybe I'll just use a a better lens cloth. So you can see it will take away all the oil on this ring. And also on the back it looks fine. Here, so there. And also it's important around here inside, because this is where it is close to the inner part here. I mean the outer of the inner barrel, I think it's called. Yeah, you know what I mean. So now it's looking fine and good. And then we can just put it in again. But how should it face? Well, there is only one pin here that goes in one direction. The other pin goes towards the front. It will say something like that. And since we know it when we took it apart, it has to sit close to the screw here. And there should not be used any oil in here, not at all. The Aperture system has to run dry. So don't think about using any. So in with that. And it should stay something like there. Wow, it's good, nice and fine. And I will just take the brass ring and put that in too, so we know where it should sit. So there, and it looks nice and fine. And we can just put it in again. And sometimes it can be a problem because we need to start in one end, of course. But using a flat dentist tool, I can hold into one end and then press it down on the other end by doing like this. So, and it sits where it should. It runs completely free, no resistance at all. So that's fine. Next thing is the blades that will come in. And yeah, we'll just put them in. And we need to dry them. So lift them out. There was also some dirt on it. Don't know how much it is, but I think they will be fine. So there. Yeah, there probably can sit some oil on the small pin, but we have to wipe it away. Take care of it not using too much force on the pin, because it can come out of the blade and then you have a real problem. So then put it in. It has to sit like this, and then we open the aperture fully, see how it will go. And you can see this tweezer is really good for that, because it's thinner than the blades are long. So it is actually very easy to put it in, find the hole, and you can see I need to adjust this ring a little. So there, and then gently press it over the hole, and then it sits as it should. So now we can actually move it, as you can see here. Very simple. So I can just continue with all the other blades. See, it's really a good tweezer this way. I don't know if you can buy those, but I've made it myself, just like many of my tools. So nice and fine. And I will just speed up the process by cleaning the blades. And then the last blade will be clean, nice and fine. And then it's quite easy to put in and assemble the lens again. I mean the aperture again. So now the blades look fine. I mean, there was just something on here. So now it's nice and fine, just like it was new. Then put in the blades and we go counterclockwise. So putting in a blade, then close the aperture a little. Then put it on. Next blade. Hopefully you can see what's going on. So there. So you see, it looks nice and fine, but the last blade is can sometimes be a little tricky to put in. Also in this case the next one can be a little. So if I close the aperture a little, all the blades will hang together in this way, but here we can put the blade in and hopefully okay, it's not that easy. So maybe if I do that way. Okay, it's better to hold on one of the blades because then I can lift it up here. That way, get it under. Get it into correct place. Now it sits there. I mean, this one was not the biggest problem, but the last blade can sometimes be a little tricky. But also this one. So now it's getting more tricky because I need to close the blade as much as possible. Because then I can see the hole for the last blade here, and hopefully I can put it in by holding the first blade I put in, hold it down so it will not bend. Then stick this under it Can be a little messy. Now then I will see if I can use my little lens sucker with a bended head. I don't know what's called this. Sometimes there's a better way to do it. Didn't get it under here. Not really. Okay. Then let's see. What if we fully open the aperture? Will it be better? Hopefully. Yeah, we'll try so. But still hold on. Maybe I have to close it a little. So then hold the first plate there, and I think this one has to sit like this. Now then I should be able to come under it, the first plate, set it on the pin one end, and then adjust it into position. That way. I think it's there. Looks like. But you can see it can sometimes be a little tricky. But yeah, it works as it should. And it can open. Now, what I miss is that the cover for the aperture in without to give it a little bath and then wipe it off with a it flew away. So I think it will be that fine. There's still something on, but it's not oil. Don't know what it is. I mean the lens is old, so what can we expect? Now, since I set a mark here, I know where it should sit correct, because I also set a mark in here. So they have to sit in that way. And using the lens sucker to hopefully put it in that way. So it sits where it should, and I can just hit it off to take care of when screwed in, not screw it in fully, because then you can adjust the screws because the holes are big. Then we can just tighten them after. Gently tighten it. There is no need to do it a lot. So now we have a fully working aperture, and it works as it should. So we can just continue with the next little part here and put it in, and it should also be free of oil. That's it. And then I can put this part in, and it has to sit like this here. Then add the little screw, which is a special one. Something like that. And with a 2.5mm screwdriver, put it on here. Sorry if we cannot see what is going on. Wiggle a little to get the screw, I mean the plate here into correct position, and not just screw it in, because then you could damage the hole. But then you can see it works really good, very easy to move. Then I can add the spring, a little tiny spring, and there, put it in, and with a maybe I use the other tweezers here to make it easier to open and put over. Or maybe I will just let's see if it's possible. Should be. It's a little tricky. Okay. I will just use my dentist tool here to see if it can go. One end there. See, sometimes it can be a little tricky. But in that way we can make it. So, that's correct. Then put it over this screw here. And there. Oh, come on. So, there, it sits there, and the other end have to go over here, there. And it sits in the shoulder, under the shoulder here. And then should be able to move it. Wow, snappy, as it should be. Then I can add this ring and just give it a little pass, so it's free of oil. And then I can put the little roller, or whatever name it has, this tiny part here. I think I also give it a little, because it is a bit sticky in one end. So there. And then put it over here as it should. Then put the ring on, and you see it should work like this. Then the lock ring, which also need a little shower. Where did it go? Here. So, and wipe it off. Then the spring comes on, and do not pull it too much apart, it will sit too loose, but do the one end first there, and then gently let it go around. So now it sits correct, snappy as it should be. So that's fine, free of oil. Then I can just put in the lens element, and I'll just begin with the inner element. Then put it in. So flip it over, and then put in the back lens. And there sits something on it, but it doesn't really matter. Then the retaining ring. Go a little backward to catch the thread. There, it says click. Then screw it in, use the rubber tool. I mean, there are two notches here on each side. I mean, one on each side. You could also use, of course, a lens tool, but this one does not make any scratch or marks. So now that was it. The aperture ring needs to come in, and remember the little steel ball, and there is also the little tiny spring. If the aperture ring is a bit, what you say, sticky, you could also clean the edge in here and give it some very little of the this MOS2 moly, which I like, and I think it's really good. Now the spring here, the lock spring for the aperture ring, has to sit correct, and it goes in like this, so it sits like that. The pin here goes into the notch here, this notch here, and it's actually more easy to put it in when the lens is set to near end, actually. So there, put it in and then push a little on the aperture ring that way. Then of course it locks here. You can give it a little movement, and then it sits correct. It has to say click. You probably can hear. Yeah, my microphone is in front of me. So the what do you say? The mount has to come in, and it's more easy to set it on when the lens is set to infinity, because then it's easier to catch the pin here with the fork. The aperture ring has to sit on AE, and because then it's easier to put in the mount. So we need to put it on here, can see there. Then turn it a little to catch the holes here somewhere, and then screw it in. Catch the holes. Now you're safe home almost. And of course you could also use some Loctite 222 on the screws, but yeah, if you have it. Gently tighten it, and so there, and there. So now the aperture is fully closed, and then it's snappy as it should be. Before it was actually a little slow, so now it works as it should. Now set it to near end and put in the front lens group. Go a little backward, catch the thread. So come on, there, then screw it in. Gently tighten it with whatever tool you have. So now the front ring here with a little set screw in, it just have to be tightened good. There is a little mark here where the screws has sit when they assemble it, and we will just end up the same place when it's screwed in. Catch the thread, click, then screw it in, tighten it good, and then tighten the little set screw here, there. Then put in the name plate, and then we are done with this oily aperture, which is not oily anymore. So, and put in the nameplate. Go a little backwards so it says click, and then you can screw it in and gently tighten it. And then we are done. So it looks nice and fine, and it actually works as it should. Perfect. So another lens that can be, which we can have great fun with. That's it. That's actually all for me, and hope you can use the info in this video to properly fix your lens. That's all. Bye bye.